In this video, I'm going to show you how to do some non-standard languages like Hebrew and to create social posts from them. So example in this one is called Hebrew Opposites. The AI originally drew the banner and then the logo I think I did on my own. And then we had the Hebrew passed to it. And then it automatically created two images, one for the bad teacher and one for the good teacher. Okay. And I wanted this exact text here. And I actually used Claude to generate the text, and the text was correct. But what happened is the AI would sometimes totally misspell or corrupt the Hebrew, especially with what's called the Nikud, the dots or the letters, or the vowels above or below the letters. Let me show you an example of that. So here in Website Garden, we actually have a project tracking system that we use as we develop our own software. And of course, that's available to any customer subscriber of Website Garden. It's one of the big features that we have. And you can put pictures in your task here. And here's a case where I had a picture of how the Hebrew was doing poorly. And so I re-downloaded that to disk here to show you. And here I know a lot of you don't speak Hebrew, but this says, she's supposed to say avodah kasha, but it says actually ev v'deh kesheh. And this one is supposed to say avodah kala, and this says like ev v'deh kaleh. And so it's putting totally wrong vowels in there basically. Okay, so the letters generally are okay, but the vowels are totally wrong. And that's not acceptable. I couldn't post something like that to my social media, putting bad Hebrew out there, because then people would, not respect me and not want to buy from me, right? Now, how does this apply to you? I asked Claude here, based on, give me a full list of all the languages where OpenAI image creation has trouble with the language, especially if it makes mistakes with diacritical marks, Nikud, etc. So Hebrew is the top of the list. And Arabic is very similar. Also Chinese, Devangari, Hindi, and Cyrillic or Cryllic, which is Russian, and some European languages use that. Korean and diacritic heavy Latin scripts, such as maybe Polish, other Latin language, Czech, Vietnamese, Turkish. I'm not sure about like French and German with the umlauts and the celias and those types of things. Documented failures include misspelled or partially garbled words, incorrect or missing diacritics, and letters swapped or merged. Okay, so anyway, there have definitely been problems with this, and so we came up with a solution for it, but it takes a lot more work. We had to do a lot more work on our programming side, and that's a little bit more work for the user to actually implement this. So we're going to go show you what I did here. So the first thing I'm going to look for on this menu is something special for this. It's called a social media design theme. Okay. So what this is basically an HTML template. And so if I click edit here, you're actually going to see HTML with CSS, cascading style sheets inside of it. And again, I know if you're not a programmer, you're going to freak out and like, oh my gosh, what is all this stuff, right? So again, we have what we call services in our store, and you can hire us to do this for you if you need it. Or we're probably going to provide several common templates like this one that I did, but obviously you're not doing Hebrew, so you'd still have to do some little substitutions here. Like this is where it's basically getting my banner out of a Amazon picture, right? And so basically what this picture does, let me show you the preview mode here. See if I click preview, this is basically my template for this. So you can see the heading and the footer, the blue lines and all that was all set up inside of, so all that was set up here. And basically we have a placeholder for the image on the left and the image on the right, because those will still be created by AI. But now we will substitute the words ourselves using our software, which we can, pretty much guarantee it won't have all those diacritical errors with the diacritical marks, right? So here, every time you see the word sub means substitute. So we're going to substitute the first Hebrew word here and the second Hebrew word here. And so with Hebrew here, let me again show you on Facebook. This is the real Hebrew word. Underneath that, we call it the Hebrew transliteration, which is, if for a person who still is learning the Hebrew alphabet, they sometimes need an English way to say that. So morah tova, morah ra'ah. so they can read the English version of the Hebrew. And then under that, you actually have the English itself, which sometimes we put F for feminine, M for masculine, because in Hebrew, like Moreh could be a male teacher, but Morah is a female teacher. Okay, and so all that will be substituted right in here. And so we basically have 6 substitutions for the words, and then we have 2 substitutions for the pictures. Okay, so hopefully I'm not losing you on that. So now I'm going to go back to here. This is my social media theme. So we have 3 levels. There's the design theme, and now this one is a social media theme is basically where you're saying, I want to create like 30 or 100 posts or whatever from this theme. And the theme will use a design. So here, let me figure out where it is. Okay, here, if you turn on this feature, it's called Advanced Text Substitution. That means you're interested in making your language correct despite having all these diacritical marks, okay? So when you turn that on, you're going to pick a design theme. And this one says Hebrew opposites, 2 images, text, left and right, version 1. Well, that is exactly what I showed you here. So on this page, this is my only design theme right now. And there's that name, Hebrew opposite, 2 images, text, left and right. So I think I actually used Claude to generate this originally. So you can use your AI to generate this, but you're going to have to do that in your AI and then paste it in here afterwards, okay? So this will take more testing and work as well. So then after that, let me show you my Hebrew down here. So this is a long thing that I generated inside of, I think, Claude. This is actually 1,400 lines of JSON here. And so at the very top is just some starter information. And here we have some things that you can say like, okay, every time I substitute the first text, I want to use a font size of 75. The second time I want to use a font size of 60. I want the font size on the left to be blue and I could have the one on the right be red or green or some other color, okay? And then what we have here is this in JSON, this is basically called a named array. So when you have the bracket here, it's got a name in front of it. And then you can see this is, I guess I'd call it a loop. This is ID 1, ID 2, ID 3, ID 4, etc. So each of those IDs would be one of your actual posts that's going to go to Facebook, okay? So it's going to basically substitute then, like the first one I did was, actually, Claude generated these 3 and we don't even use them. It's just nice. It was nice to have them in here. But what we really need here is the phrase. So we have big boy and small boy. And then there's the Hebrew, Yeled Gadol and Yeled Katan. So the Hebrew was generated totally correctly by Claude, but then the image AI would basically change it. And that was so frustrating. And, anyway, probably another year or 2, they'll have all that fixed and it won't be an issue anymore. But for now, it was an issue. And then again, this is the transliteration. So again, we have the word sub indicating substitution, and we have 6 things we want to substitute, okay? So now that you've seen that, let's go up here and see how we use that. So it says create a cartoon educational image. Now, if you don't say cartoon, it might actually create a photorealistic picture. So if you want a picture of like a good and a bad teacher, for example, that looks like a real person, you could actually say real person or instead of saying cartoon. But I wanted cartoon images with 2 separate equal size panels, background pure white. So it would all fit in real well. And then the post prompt says on the left half of the panel, do this phrase, JSON.pairs bracket postnum dot phrase dot sub English 1. So I know that looks horrible probably for you. I'm going to, just temporarily, I'm going to stick it right here so you can see it. So this whole thing is my JSON. Pairs refers to this thing right here, okay? And then the pairs is what's in an array. That's because we have the bracket there, right? So now post number 1 is basically going to be, again, this one. Post number 2 will be this one, and so on. So that's the first part. And then what you want to substitute is down here under the word phrase, and then under that, I want to put in sub English 1, okay, centered inside the left half. Basically, in our theme over here, we already have these words, sub Hebrew 1. So see over here, there's the sub underscore Hebrew 1. So it's smart enough to automatically substitute those. We put them here in 2 curly braces, and then the substitution automatically happens. So remember, after you do all that, you submit this, and then you go look at what it generated. So let me show you that screen again. If I go here, back to the menu on the left, look for social. There's something called generated post. And something I didn't show you on an earlier video, because I'm making this video, I don't want to make it too small. Let's see if I make that screen a little bit smaller there. There's still more hiding. Just a second. Move that over. There we go. On the right side, it shows you your actions you've done on these. So for example, I thought I'd gone through every Hebrew picture, but it looks like, say, this one was never opened. So that if it's never been opened, that means I probably need to open it, and then I need to either approve it or reject it. So for example, on this one, this is number 210. I'm going to open it right now. Well, that's the edit. Sorry, I didn't mean to hit the edit button. I meant to hit the view button right here. Okay, and then I see the picture, and I'm like, is that correct or not? And then I would click pick or reject, and then click save. But I think I've already done that picture, so I'm not gonna do it again. But anyway, the point of that is it's keeping track of you here of which ones you've approved. And there were a couple of them here that I had some questions about, like this one. It has no decision. That means I looked at it before. Oh, see that one? It actually ran off the sides. Okay. So I just decided I'll just skip that one. I don't care. I mean, out of 100, I think I did 100 or 120 posts. If 5 of them have this problem, I'll just ignore them. Now I could go back and actually try to fix this by basically I'd have to shrink down the size of the fonts a little bit because I have too many words here, right? So I would either need to split the words on other lines or just try to use less words, okay? So that's what happened on that one. Let me just pick one more. They're probably all similar to that. Okay, there's one. Let's see this one. Hot and cold sun. Oh yeah, this I thought was funny. So when I generated the words from Claude, technically I should have proofread them here before I put them into Website Garden. But I realized that hot sun and cold sun, hot sun kind of makes sense. But in English, I'd never heard anybody talk about a cold sun before. So it is the opposite, right? Cold is the opposite of hot. But Claude just kind of came up with this idea of a cold sun. And, you know, it's just not a word I use in English. So I didn't approve that one, right? So I just skipped over it. So there'll be things like that that'll happen. It may be like 2 or 3% of them have a weird issue. Now you can actually come here and say edit prompt, and now I could actually change it and have it regenerated again. Okay, so here's my prompt that I had. But since it's using the JSON file, it's still going to kind of do the same thing. So that's just one I skipped over, obviously. Let's check 1 or 2 others here. I think this was a similar idea, almost with the sun, right? You can have a warm coat or a cold coat. See, a cold coat doesn't make much sense. I mean, a coat can be cold, I guess, if it's cold outside, but you don't normally call a coat a cold coat. So very similar to the sun issue, okay? So the point of all that is, even when you use AI, like some people will tell you, oh, well, you just do it all in Python or use Claude and have it generate all your posts and submit them to Facebook. Well, Claude doesn't have, I don't think, an approval system like this, right? So that's one of the things that we're giving you is an approval system where you can quickly come through all these and approve them. And again, let me just show you how that works. If you click here, like this view image, you just click the selected or you click rejected, and then you click the arrow and it will go to the next or previous post. I think previous in this case means go back in time or whatever. So anyway, then I would approve that one. I would approve this one and so on. So it's pretty quick, but you just need to spend, you know, like 30 seconds, like look at that, maybe even check, does the Hebrew sound right? And then just say, okay, I approve it. And still you can get, 2 or 3 months worth of posts done and still like 30 minutes or less. And that's what's so cool about this. Okay. At the very bottom of this screen, there's actually a scroll bar so you can see all the columns. So here you have the status, you have the time the post was generated. That's what it means by added. And then you have the target date. That's when it's going to be posted to Facebook or Instagram or whatever. So you have these two different dates involved here. And one of the things we're going to do next is, what if you want to reschedule something? Like if I say, okay, oh, that's a good picture, but I want to schedule it for today or for 2 weeks from today. I want to be able to come in here and reschedule things. So that's a new feature that's coming. And I'm sure we'll have other new features added to this, in the next few months. And then up at the top here, okay, let's say you thought you reviewed them all, but you're not sure. Well, you can click here, not reviewed, right? So now it's going to give you the ones that you never opened, or you opened them and you never made a decision. Or you can say, show me the approved ones or show me the rejected ones. So I actually rejected these earlier today because this was a demo I did for Ben Franklin, and I didn't really want them going to my Facebook site because my Facebook site is about Hebrew, not about Benjamin Franklin. So I just rejected them so they would not get posted. And also on the filter up here, you can say, okay, I only want to see the Ben Franklin ones. I only want to see the Founding Father ones. I only want to see the Hebrew ones. So depending on how many themes you have, you can then pick your theme here, and you can see only the post that it generated for that specific theme. So let's just review that again. If we go back over here and go to, say, theme, there is the social media theme series. And like right now, I'm only doing my first Hebrew post. And again, it's like 112 generated posts here. And it's called Hebrew opposites, nouns, and adjectives. Well, maybe next week I'm going to start doing Hebrew verbs. And I'm going to do something like, the man eats the fish. The man takes the bread. The woman eats the fish. The woman eats the bread. The man speaks to the woman speaks to the man, whatever. I'll generate some phrases like that. So that would be a new theme. And I would go back to Claude and I would generate myself another file, kind of like this. And I would have verbs in there, right? And so I might call it Hebrew simple verbs. And I might generate 120 or 100, whatever, 100 of those. And then I might do another one like common Hebrew greetings. Hello, how are you? Shalom, ma shlomcha, or ma matzav, or ma kareh, stuff like that. So I might have Hebrew greetings, and I might have probably not 100 of those, maybe 10 or 20. And then I can all schedule them so that eventually now I'm submitting to my Facebook maybe even 3 or 4 or 5 times a day. And that's what, really successful people, I think, do. They just really keep their Facebook hot. And they just keep posting all the time. And then you can repost stuff too. And that's probably another feature we'll add, is like this nouns and adjectives is going now for, say, 3 months, because 90 days or so. So maybe in the future, I'll have it on here where I can set it and say, okay, I want to rerun this now from January 1st to April 15th of next year. And it would just basically send the same images again, because it's going to be hitting new people. And also, people aren't going to have perfect memory of what they learned, right? So they need to review the same words over and over. So anyway, I can have multiple themes going to the same Hebrew page, or I can also manage different Hebrew pages here. One of my ideas that I'm even thinking about is, why don't I just start a Facebook group on Facebook for Italian, French, and German, all separate, right? Spanish. And then I can basically generate 100 words, for each one of those. And then maybe run an affiliate program on it, and then put little ads on there. Click this affiliate program, and maybe I can make who knows how much money doing that. So right now I'm basically promoting my website, which is Hebrew Garden, and you could see that's going in every link right here. And the other thing we're adding right now is this text right here. We're going to add that text so that you can automatically put that along with your tags as text that goes with your picture on every single post. So again, I'm really excited about this. It's something I've wanted as a tool for a long time, and I just built it myself, basically, with the help of my my other programmer. So this has been Neil Walters with Website Garden, and I hope you can find this useful.